Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. It's not exactly an unboxing video, and I really do need to tidy my table up too. But the lava rock has arrived, and I just took some pieces out, and as I was handling it, it struck me that, I'm not cooking me breakfast, it's filthy. Look at the colour of that water. So what I'm currently doing is observing lots of air bubbles coming out of it. Now that's good, because that obviously means it holds water. This is a new product for me. I've never had lava rock before, so I've never come across it. I don't know what it's supposed to be like out of the bag. But this was a very cheap option compared with a lot of the options in there. Most of it is almost black, some of it's got that reddish colour to it, but as you can see it's absolutely filthy, and as a consequence I don't know what the dirt is, so I'm sterilising it. So I've literally put it in a cooking pot and stuck it on there with some boiling, well, it's not boiling yet but it will be. So I'm going to give it a bit of a boil, and then I'm going to have to rinse it several times because that amount of dirt I'm not prepared to put up with. So we'll deal with it and its first use once it's clean and rinsed off and obviously cooled down a bit. So I'll be back. Okay, so this was the primary objective, was to get some extra hydration around these Rhynchostylis gigantea roots, because they just don't seem to be doing that well, and without a active working good root system the plants are just never going to grow well. They're probably not going to grow well for a few months anyway because it's too flipping cold, but that stuff was filthy. That took a lot of getting clean. It got boiled first, so that's a sterilisation process, and left like that for a little bit because as long as I could still see air bubbles coming out, then boiling water hadn't got into all the little holes and crevices, so I kept that going for a bit. And I then had to rinse it another 5 times before the water started running clean. So it is very dirty, so it can't be used in its raw state. I deliberately spent quite a long time looking for somebody who sold big pieces, because most of them you're looking at pieces sort of 10 to 15 centimetres. Well, they'd have gone straight through the bottom. So the idea was to get some big pieces and that don't fall out the bottom, and then just place them. I don't want these roots soaking wet, but I want them to hold more moisture than they are currently. So it's just a matter of getting some pieces in round the roots for something to hold on to, and you know, just keep them hydrated without any shape or form blocking off the air to them. Because the amount of air that's going to be left after I've done this is going to be enormous. Don't need to jam these in there because they are rough, they will damage the roots. So I don't want to go too mad, but I need enough around the plant to hold it still, partially, because these wobble around even though they're wired, but mainly just so that when I water it, it just stays hydrated longer. And there's going to be some places where I can't get any because the wires are in the way, unless they'll just tuck in under there. Yes, not too bad. So that's the idea, just drop a few pieces in various places just to keep these roots a bit better hydrated. Oops, I'm concentrating on what I'm doing, not what I'm doing with the camera. So you're probably looking at my feet again. Not the best thing if you're having your breakfast. I don't need to go mad. I can always add a bit in if I see roots coming up higher up the plant. And I don't want to get the base of the plant covered. I think that'll do. Actually, I can see a big gap over there. Let's see if we can get a bit in there. There we go. And another piece on top. Yeah, I think that'll do it. I bet that weighs a ton now. That was not too bad. Yeah, so that was the objective. It was just to get something round these roots to give them a much longer period before they dry out, because these roots have been drying out sometimes in half an hour. you know, in the warmer weather. And then, you know, I'm not going round watering plants 3 or 4 times a day. Maximum is once a day. Now this should allow that hydration to stay there now. I am also aware that if this stuff holds that amount of water, it's also quite capable of holding nutrients. So the chances are the flushing needs to be a bit more, not so much frequent, but just remembering to do it. Just remembering that this stuff can hold nutrients, and as a consequence the flush needs to be a good one. It'll need a long soak so that the clean water can get all in round the little holes and the crevices and hopefully flush out what's being stored in there. I mean, I don't normally get that sort of problem because I haven't had this sort of media before, but anyway, I think that'll do the job. And a future use of the stuff, I'll just have to remember that it does need to be sterilised and given a good wash before it gets used. But the fact that it's got some weight to it, it'll cut large pieces like that will come in useful to just sit in the bottom of pots for some extra stability to taller plants that I still don't want in a large pot, if you see what I mean. I mean, a lot of the dendrobiums like to be really cosy in their pots, but they can be very top heavy like that. Things like the nobiles, you know, there's more plant than root system and pot, so they just, you only got to walk in the place and they fall over. Anyway, that's that job done. Now hopefully, maybe not immediately, but hopefully now there should be some extra root growth in there because of the extra hydration, plus the roots will have something to grab hold of. And I've always found that even with vandas with aerial roots, they seem to grow better when at least some of them have got something to grab hold of. I don't know why, it just seems to be that way. Although vandas seem to manage very well with next to nothing. I mean, that's a tiny little basket there. That's doing nothing for the plant, because most of the roots that are inside of there are the original roots when it was a seedling. They're long since dead. So all the root system's outside. But taking vandas to one side, most plants that I've seen, either mounted or, you know, growing on a rock or anything like that, seem to do better with some good attachment. It's just something that makes, once they start attaching, they start growing better roots and more of them. It's as though the plant sort of realises, okay, I'm safe now, let's chuck some roots out. So anyway, we'll see if that, I don't expect large improvements immediately, but come the warmer weather I would expect these plants to now start growing, you know, and start getting a reasonable root system at the base, which will be followed by the top growth. And hopefully the next lot of top growth will be nice and straight and clean. I mean, this new leaf, I don't think it's going to get any bigger than that. Well, you know, it should be this size. And all the older leaves have desiccated to a degree. You know, that is not a strong, healthy leaf. This one isn't too bad, but there's still some desiccation there. So the plant just isn't getting enough hydration. So plants, sorry. So we'll see how it does now, and hopefully it'll improve. Because if it doesn't, by the end of next year, then it's not going to be around here. It's going to be somewhere else. Because I've had it quite a long time. One of them did bloom once. That was, I think, at least 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. So I've had these plants a while. They should be much bigger and stronger by now, and they just haven't done that well. And some of that is me, my conditions, too cold in the winter and nowhere near enough hydration and feed in the summer. So we'll see if we can get the things to grow better come the growing season. And until then, let's just hope they stay alive. See you next time.